I gotta be honest with you, this weekend is one of those where I'm a little bit embarrassed to be a filmmaker. As if it's not bad enough that the vast majority of movies in the multiplexes these days are very questionable remakes, sequels, and prequels, this weekend there are two of them, Footloose and The Thing. Three of them if you include the Matrix-ized version of The Three Musketeers, coming out about 8 years after The Matrix stopped being cool. Since The Three Musketeers is more of a new adaptation, I will mostly leave it alone, even if I find the visual concept infuriating. The already absurd Footloose is a movie that I was never in the least bit interested in, but I know I'm not the only one feeling that this do-over was a movie that no one asked for. I see this because I read an interview where the director, the guy who also made What?, admits himself that the remake was a bad idea, and that there was no good reason to make it. Kind of like another hack director you might have heard of, Rob Zombie. Except for one critical difference. Whatever else you can say about Zombie's Halloween remakes, they're definitely not copy-and-paste duplicates of the originals. But from everything I've heard, you can't say that about Footloose. Look, maybe this is the tiny part of me talking that still clings to a bit of idealism, but I think that when the sole reason you have for remaking recent classics is the vague chance that you'll be making money instead of annoying the piss out of people, you've pretty much officially sold out. If you're going to rest on established properties, fine. But it's probably cheaper to just find a good print of the original film and re-release that. Very recent case in point is the 3D version of The Lion King that's still in theaters right now and doing quite well the last time I heard. It would sure as hell be a lot more honest than constantly repackaging every movie ever made and saying with a straight face that's a new release. I'd still love to know how you can pull that off. But don't push your luck, because I'm really tempted at this point to stick the advertisement enforcer on you. Moving on. The new version of The Thing is also out, as I said before. Preliminary impressions, because I'm probably going to see it real soon, is that it claims to be a prequel rather than a remake. And that's another one that the filmmaker said is a bad idea, by the way. In fact, their exact words were that it's like, what was it? Oh yeah, painting a mustache on the Mona Lisa. Okay, I don't hold the original, the John Carpenter version of The Thing in that kind of high regard, but really, what more can you possibly tell? I mean, scientists stuck in the middle of nowhere in the Antarctic, fighting off an alien that crashed near them, while it's changing shape and trying to kill them, doesn't exactly give you broad forks in the storytelling. And I should point out, in case you didn't gather by me stumbling over the lines just now, the John Carpenter version was a remake itself. It's a version of another movie called The Thing from Another World. Where the hell was I? As I said, leaving aside that the premise doesn't give you a lot of room to explore new territory, just look at the title. Hey, this supposed prequel to John Carpenter's The Thing is called The Thing. I know a lot of people have gone on about this already, but really, what the fuck? I mean, come on. I was sick of this when Rambo and The Final Destination did that, and I still am sick of it. I mean, how do you expect people to keep track of a series or even talking about it when you have multiple movies with the same title in them? I mean, how lazy do you have to get, by the way, to not come up with The Thing, The Beginning, or something like that? Hey, Jesus, they really did put more thought in the movies in the 50s, didn't they? But I digress. As I said, unlike the other pictures, this is one that I do intend to see, if only because I seem to be a bit of an emotional masochist. Either way, it's definitely going to provide some material for this episode. What I do for you. I hope you're proud. Anyway, I'll see you in a little bit.
I'm going slightly mad. I'm going slightly mad.
Okay, so I just got out of, the opening night showing of The Thing pre-make, as I'm calling it. And, as a standalone movie, it's alright. Many of the characters aren't really memorable. Some decent acting, but nothing that really stands out. Effects are okay, but again, the CG sort of draws attention to itself. It's not as, forgive the expression, eye-popping or shocking as the original. On the other hand, it's nowhere near as disgusting either, so if you're not a particularly big fan of gore, that's a plus for you. But yeah, they definitely repeat a lot of the same beats from the original. Let me think here. One thing that I definitely liked better about this version was the score, because they actually had one. If you've seen the Carpenter version, you know that the score, so to speak, by Ennio Morricone is basically a bass note being played over and over again, and maybe a couple of keyboard chords, but that's pretty much it. To give the movie some credit, though, is actually very suspenseful, and whenever they surprised you with who happened to be the thing at any given moment, it really works. I mean, there are twists in there that you won't see coming in that regard. But yeah, the plot, as I said, is pretty much as I expected. It's a dead straight ripoff of the 1982 film. And incidentally, take a look around in your newspaper listings, because you never know. There are some theaters in my hometown that are running the 1982 version along with the new one. Not as a double feature, but they're in the same theater. So if you can manage to find one doing that, pay to see that. Or better yet, rent the John Carpenter version. The only other thing I really have to add is another source of irony. I was actually mistaken about when the Three Musketeers movie comes out. It's actually next week, or October 20th. Next Friday. October 21st. That's when the Halloween video comes out. I'm sorry. But one of the trailers happened to be, you guessed it, yet another remake. It's this heist movie called Contraband. And well, you might not necessarily recognize it, but I recognize it because Colin, my friend and frequent co-filmmaker, happens to have the original Italian exploitation flick on DVD. He showed me that a couple of years ago. Not really proud to see that one. He's probably going to shit bricks when I tell him about it, or when he sees this video, whichever comes first. So I guess closing arguments, simply put, save your money, look at the original. It's still a classic, even if, gore films aren't necessarily your thing. It's still scary as hell. And if you're an aspiring filmmaker, please, for God's sakes, do not rip off a well-known movie, or I will hunt you down. That's it for me. Now, how do I turn this fucking thing off? This is the last time I do one of these on location.